Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to introduce you to, aesthetically anyway, one of my all-time favourite pistols. And that would be the EMG Hudson H9. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Hudson, you could, to all intents and purposes, see this as the illegitimate love child of a 1911 and a Glock. Because to all intents and purposes, that is entirely what it is. The H9 started off in its real steel life being developed by a husband and wife team in rural America. I believe it was rural America. Whose sort of prerequisites were to take the 1911 and bring it into modern day society, if you will, by injecting some of the more modern design elements of guns such as the Glock. And I think it's safe to say that stylistically both guns can be seen quite evidently in the DNA of the H9. So let's run through this airsoft variant, which unfortunately is now the only variant of the H9 because it was a fairly short-lived company, unfortunately. And although the real steels did see production, it wasn't for a great deal of time. So this EMG variant is now the only H9 you will get, unfortunately. But right, as I say, working our way through the gun. Top slider, very reminiscent of the Glock. You'll see the sort of Glock look to it at the rear if you're looking down the sights. This is an all-metal affair, so it's a nice and weighty gun. Not too heavy to be unusable, not something like a Deagle or anything like that, but certainly it feels nice in your hand. You feel like it's a quality instrument. We have a good level of serration at the front and the back. There's even some slight serration at the top on the slider as well. All aids with grip, all aids with racking that gun back. And it's just a really nice thing to look at. I think you'll agree. But yeah, we have, in terms of the sights, something not entirely Glock, because obviously they have the post system. This adopts a fibre optic front sight, which you might be able to make out there. Unfortunately, the fibre doesn't run all the way through. So in low light situations, the fibre is actually fairly pointless. It's almost impossible to pick out because it picks up no light through the front edge of it and just becomes sort of silhouetted, unfortunately. Although I'm led to believe that is exactly how it appears on the real steel variant as well, so not much we can do about that. Moving down slightly, we'll address the elephant in the room, which is this section underneath here, which stylistically I think is one of the coolest features, and from an airsoft perspective certainly is just coolio. In terms of the real steel variant, this was actually where they housed the recoil springs. That was a part of their design philosophy. They wanted the barrel and the bore to sit slightly lower in the gun, makes it better balanced and aids with the sort of recoil element of the gun as it tips back. As I say, in terms of airsoft, we're not going to get enough recoil for it to actually matter or anything like that. But from a stylistic point of view, I think it's absolutely awesome. We do get the usual sort of Picatinny section down the bottom here for torches and what have you. I'd be very interested to see anyone who manages to find a good quality holster that would fit the H9 with a massive torch on the bottom as well. I'm sure there's some around, but it's about finding that ultimate quality one, I think. Trigger wise, it's a very interesting trigger setup. We have a trigger safety on it, but as you see, unlike a sort of a Glock or anything like that, it actually works by folding in at the upper half, and the trigger is a straight pull trigger, much more like a 1911 as opposed to the Glock. The pistol grip itself, you'll see, is much more reminiscent of the 1911. certainly in terms of angle and size, whereas the Glock obviously would be much more sort of angled out this way. And yeah, is nice. It does, the pistol section of this particular replica does hold my only gripe about this gun, and that's because, again, being full metal and everything sort of clipping together, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but after several skirmishes, mine's developed a sort of clicky wobbly noise in it, which, although when you're holding it and you're actually using the gun, isn't too bad, but certainly just, yeah, not quite what I'd like to see, unfortunately, but livable with. And certainly from a performance aspect, doesn't affect the performance of the gun at all. Magazines are proprietary to the gun. Very nice. Don't hold a hell of a lot of gas. You'll be lucky to get 1.5 magazine fills out of a gas fill. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but they are on the small side when compared to a lot of other things. Fits in very nice. There is some slight wobble again in the sort of pistol area where the mag's concerned, but again, doesn't affect performance or reliability or anything like that. All in all, the Hudson is a fantastic looking and performance-wise performs very well. Isn't going to outshoot your Mark 23 or anything like that or anything of the such. But yeah, very nice, and is something a little bit different to bring to the airsoft field if you're tired of your high cap or your your Mark 23 or your Glock or anything of the such. This is not something you'll see everyone running. Anyway, that's been my aesthetic look at the Hudson H9 from EMG. If this video has been of any help to you, a like and a subscribe is always welcome. And I'll see you guys in the next one.